Is that working now?
I don't know. Is it working?
Yeah!
Yay!
This amazing background.
I was gonna say it looked very familiar. Normally I focus on like portraiture and people and figurative things like that. So I just pushed the boat out a little bit this year and wanted to focus on things like I missed pre-lockdown. I do like a very loose painting in acrylic, and then I'd go in with like drawing ink with a nibbed pen, and then I'd go and scratch in like actual details. Like if you look at the buildings on the left, like the step ladder bit, all of that is ink brushed. It's just because I really like neon paints. Like the best way I found working, I was standing like right back, and I had a long handled paintbrush, like a really thin one, and I taped that to another paintbrush. Our memory, you remember fragments and layers and specific bits about it. So I decided to enhance the bits I really remember. Stuff like I remember Chiswick Bridge, which is what was behind you there, like the bridge behind you.
You can definitely see that there's like a lot of details in some areas. I mean, the lamppost is it's just off center, but it's also one of the most detailed things in the entire like painting.
Memories, you remember really weird random parts of them, like strangely specific parts of them. I have to paint it as I remember it. In the future I might look at using collage to try and memorize landscapes. I think part of it was just the fact that I've done portraits. I really wanted to push myself this year. I feel like if I can get this element, like the landscapes, and maybe merge that with my skills in portraiture. So I just thought I didn't want to put myself into too much of a category or a box. I was looking at traditional methods of painting landscapes, but putting a bit of a contemporary twist on. But JMW Turner, I really like his work, and I like Peter Doy's work, and he very much uses, so he'll build up the background first, and then he'll move it forward, and that's sort of how I wanted to do it. But then I started doing that, I did the sky, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want it to be a bit everywhere. I don't want it necessarily this structured thing, because that's a photograph, not a memory to me.
It doesn't necessarily seem like a 3D image in some ways. It's weird when you remember something, it almost seems 2D.
Yeah, like a story, like an illustration from a storybook. A lot of it is like quite cheerful, happy memories, but I did kind of want to work on like subverting them a little bit, because not to make them like sinister, but just to make them not quite right. Like now with COVID, things aren't quite as they were. You see the same places, but they haven't got the same life as they did, because people can't use them in the same way. So this was a really busy stretch of like river, and it would have loads of pubs on the sides, and like it would normally be like bustling with life. So seeing these images without people, without how they were, it's sort of like that's what I decided to call the series that I'm working on, Not As It Was. All these things that were familiar, but they're just merely memories now, because they're not, I don't remember how they were. Not as it was at all.
Not as it was at all, no.